Let's hope the sound sounds
hello.
good. Maybe hold the mic a little bit closer to
Closer?
your mouth.
Is
Yeah.
this good? Okay, yeah, we have... Are we just gonna cut this all out?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, cool. So...
Alright.
Hello, guys.
Hello. And today's video is about...
Our active writing process.
Exactly.
This is Aubin.
Oh yeah, I'm Aubin and Ella, the author of The Second Nature of Indigo.
I'm Mariella, and I'm currently working on a duology.
Yeah.
Neither of which are out, but the first one is in the editing stage.
Yay. Good job with the editing.
So, Aubin's assisting me. She's one of my alpha readers. So yeah. We're just mostly going to walk through how we just write, how we sit down, and I'm at 90,000 words, how we just sit down and write that many words.
And I think if you haven't been here before, we kind of talk about writing, reading, what it's like, and probably more stuff later on.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, we're sisters. If you didn't know. Okay, so do you want to start? How we did this is that we both wrote down stuff that we do, and we're gonna tell each other.
So actually, I didn't write this down first, but probably how I started. Sorry, we have yard work going on right now. I don't know if you can hear that, but one of our neighbors is getting a tree chopped down. But so how I would start most days of writing is I would get up, eat, and then sit down and write. So I think one of the most important things for writing is just to roll into it. Like, don't stop. I would literally be moving, grabbing my food. I'd always eat yogurt, so I'd grab my yogurt, eat my yogurt, put it in the dishwasher, put my bowl in the dishwasher, and then go straight upstairs and start writing. So then you already have food, you're already slightly satisfied, you can just keep it going. And then my second thing that I would always do is listen to music. So important. So if you can't listen to music that has words while you write, there's so many great instrumental songs.
Yeah,
pieces,
brands, whatever. Not brands. What are they called? Artists?
Yeah. I mean, some of them are brands.
Kind of, yeah. Like Brand X music.
Brand X music is amazing.
Good.
Their neoclassical stuff, I listen to it all the time while I write. I do also listen to music with words sometimes. Like, I would listen to a lot of Aurora. I'd listen to a good amount of Coldplay.
Boy with You, for me.
Not as much for me. And yeah, so just some good music is so important to writing. I get easily distracted, so having that flow already built into my state of mind just makes it so much better. Next is tea. Okay, I often would have a warm beverage while I wrote, because it just gives you something to do when you paused. Because often I would pause and not know what to do, and then I'd
really
kind of go into this spiral of oh, I stopped. Is it good? Do I need to read over it? La 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 la. So if you have something to do when you pause, just take a sip of your tea. It will give your brain enough time to work on why you paused subconsciously without you having to worry about it. So something like tea, coffee, a beverage, even I guess a fidget that you could use, just something you can do. I like tea because it means you're getting hydrated. But
stay hydrated, guys.
Yeah, whatever you do, just something to do when you start to pause. My last 2 points. First one is sunlight. I would always sit in our upper part of our atrium, and I'd do it in the morning, so sunlight would be all over that couch. It just made it so much more comfortable and warmer and just softer. It's really important to get sunlight, so...
It also keeps you awake.
It does.
Scientifically, so if you want to have your brain working as well as it can, definitely get some sunlight in the early morning so your brain is fully awake and ready to work. Because there's no point in working
when you can't think.
When your brain isn't working well. So that's why hydration is important. That's why sunlight's important. Eating, You need to... If you ever wonder why you're not writing so well, maybe start taking care of yourself.
No, I do that. I have a really hard time taking care of myself sometimes, so I'll be sitting on the couch watching YouTube, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, I know I need to eat, but my brain's just like, no. Especially with my tooth being cracked, it's like annoying to eat with it.
Yeah.
So take care of yourself first before you start trying to just do stuff. My final point is coolness.
I know, I saw that and I was like, that's awesome.
This might sound weird, but if you feel cool while you write, you are going to write.
It does help.
Some great stuff. Like sometimes I would just get in like a fantasy outfit.
She did this
like
2 days ago.
Yeah, or just like, you know, an elegant outfit just so I can write. It just makes it feel better. Like, yeah, it feels so cool. Also, if you have like candles, if it's at night, if it's like dramatic, if you have like another thing with tea, like, you know, if it just feels elegant, you're gonna have more dopamine and more motivation to write. So, yeah, if you're just like doing all the other stuff and you're like, yeah, it's just not, just take a break, get in a cool outfit, listen to some really cool music, and I promise you, you'll feel cooler. And then my last point, which really isn't a point, is that some days you will just not be in the headspace to write. And if you do all of these things and you're still just like not in the headspace to write, don't push it. You're probably just going to have to edit it out later anyway.
I would agree with that, like, a lot.
Because I feel like the worst stuff I wrote when I didn't want to write.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not. Do something that inspires you. If you have a book series that you like how they write, read that. If you have, like, a YouTube channel that is in, like, the style that your book is in, or if you have a movie that you want to watch that's, like, related to how your book is set, like, do that. Get something before you can put something out. Like, if you don't have the motivation or the mental space or even, like, the desire to do it, like, I would always watch really cool movies or read books to help me get into that headspace. Like, it just, because when I see that, when I read that, when I watch it, I'm like, I want to make that. I want to be able to put my spin on this world, this, like, genre of creation. So I really highly encourage that. Your points?
I mean, that was awesome. I also had music.
Music is really important.
I had chocolate/sweets as motivation. So if none of these are working, chocolate is a surprisingly good motivator.
Also goals.
Goals.
Like word goals.
Yes, word goals. And I feel like word goals, I'm going to talk about this later, but like sometimes you need to try different stuff for where you are in the process. Like I don't always count words, because sometimes you're working on plot and word count is not related to how much plot stuff you solved or worked on.
Or you're editing and you can't count by words if you're editing.
And you can't even count by words when you're drafting sometimes, because sometimes you get 400, 500 just solid gold paragraph words in a paragraph, and that is amazing, and then you're just burnt out and done. And then other days you write like 2,000 words, and anyway, so it changes where you are in the process. I usually orient myself in the story, especially if I'm drafting. So I go back. This also used to be a procrastination technique, so really do some reflection and see why you're doing it, but it does legitimately help get you in the story. Yeah. And it protects that emotional arc. And even though you're writing maybe like 3 scenes over a period of 7 days, you kind of keep that flow, which I think is really important.
And it makes editing a whole lot easier afterwards.
Yeah. Review plot cards and write out plot as I remember it, or as I want to experiment with it. I did this or go ahead. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, the director.
Oh yes! Oh my gosh. Taika Waititi, the director of like a ton of famous movies, including Jojo Rabbit and Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. So he would, if I'm remembering correctly, always write a script and then leave it for months and not look at it. And then he would rewrite it from what he remembered. Then he would read the old script, and he would have taken out the most memorable, the most cool things from it. Yeah. And there might be some other things that he like remembered from reading the script over and be like, oh, actually, that was really cool. I'm going to take that back and put it in here. But it meant that it's kind of like how fairy tales got told over and over and over, but like the best parts of them always stayed the same. So it's like you're really just condensing what you actually need in the story and what is actually like really great. Yeah. Like even I rewrote the end of my first book, and even as I did, like there are still parts of the ending that are the same, and I like kept because they were really cool. Yeah. So that is such a great thing to bring up. I love that piece of writing advice. Yeah. And obviously it's Taika Waititi, so it's hilarious the way he tells it in like whatever interview he was doing. And I did that, not really that specifically, but I did that by accident, or I did it to an extent for my second book. And it was very, very helpful. I would stay away. I kind of used plotting as an excuse to not draft, though. So don't do that. Plotting is wonderful and super helpful, but to an extent, you just have to start writing, and then sometimes you find out things that you didn't even think about while you were plotting, and then you have to fix them anyway. So it was really funny to watch Aubin, because she would have note cards. She would plot with note cards, and I don't really understand how she did it, but she would have all these note cards laid out, and then she would just go like, gasp, and then move them, and I would be like, what? And then I was like, wait, and then moves like a couple more, and I'm like, Aubin, you just... Yeah. You just be like, what?
It's amazing how many different ways you can order events and they still make sense. It's really, really impressive. It's so fantastic and really overwhelming sometimes. Sit and daydream. Sometimes if I'm working on a scene and it's not writing, like getting on the page well, I stop and then just run through it in my mind. And that sometimes saves me hours of time. And you just run through it in your head. There are actors in your head, there are sets in your head, and they look exactly as you want them. Or sometimes they don't, and you have to figure it out. Have some form of water or snacks. Pinterest, talking about some things that used to work, and now I don't do as much. Pinterest, when I was first starting my very first book, I used Pinterest every day before I started writing. And I think at first it was super duper helpful. Now it's more of a distraction technique. Yeah. Now it's, if I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to Pinterest for some references. No. Because I think I know what I want now more. I know the world more. And when I was starting out that world, when I was building that world, Pinterest was insanely helpful. Yeah. But, so just, listen to yourself, what you really need, and do that.
Yeah, something that how I would always use Pinterest before, it became a distraction a lot. But, I would just, get up, eat, start writing. So Pinterest didn't really have a space there. So Pinterest was what I did when I wasn't writing. So it was this separate thing where I could get ideas.
That's a really good idea.
Like, Pinterest is insanely helpful. There's so many cool artists and creators who have made art that you can see there. And it's, it's very helpful. Like, so many great ideas have come from Pinterest, but it can be very distracting. And also, I feel like if you use it too close and too often to your writing, you'll start copying. Like, I noticed when I used Pinterest a lot and I was Pinteresting quotes, they would sneak into my writing, and I'm like, no, that's not mine. So now I have to, like, kind of take out these things because, they're not mine. Yeah. So that's, like, my warning for Pinterest. Like, don't steal, okay? We are learning, but we're not copying.
Yeah. That's a good point. And I think I used to do the same thing with, like, ideas or, like, dresses. I would be like, oh, my gosh, that's an amazing dress. And then just describe pretty much that exact dress or something close-ish.
Just change the color.
I think I would maybe change, like, the sleeves or something. But anyway, be original. And so now I use it sparingly. Likewise, I research. Okay, research can be the biggest distraction, and it's so easy because you're like, but it's research. I need to do this. And yeah, in a way, you do need to do it. But kind of like with the Pinterest thing, I try and set aside separate times for research. Yeah. It's like, this is drafting time, this is book research time, and they are not the same time. Because, I feel like it doesn't require as much from me, research. It's just like, it's just
you're
research.
It
requires mental space. Yeah, you're just taking things in. But I feel like it's a different headspace slightly, and you need to protect that space. I have lost a lot of writing time because I was just looking for one historical detail, and I was like, oh, it's only going to take me 2 minutes. Doesn't take me 2 minutes.
Mm.
Write on paper if I'm ever stuck. And
I don't like writing on paper.
That's okay.
I write poetry on paper, but nothing else.
Interesting. Well, you could do that if you're stuck too.
Yeah, I guess so.
Anyway, yeah. And then if you ever want to create a writing habit but don't feel in the mood to come up with something, then you can always go back to your paper and then just move the scene that you wrote on paper to the computer and feel productive.
It does feel productive.
It does feel productive.
Although it is kind of agonizing.
Oh, hold on. I'll be right back. Hold this. Do something entertaining.
I have both the microphones. Oh my gosh, Aubin, I think one of them's dying.
Oh no.
Okay. This might be cut short. Our last video was cut short. If you enjoyed that, this is an ad break for ourselves. Please go and enjoy our previous video. What is it called? POV or writer? Something like that. It's really cool, and we give some great advice. Also, we bring up Brando Sando.
Okay.
And his grade. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I forgot.
Okay, guys. So, one of them is dying. So
I think it's mine.
Oh, it's yours. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to need my hands.
Oh.
Okay. So, one thing that you should be warned about with writing on paper is that you should try and be organized so that when you try and look through your scenes that you wrote in journals, you can actually find them, because sometimes you write them and you know you're going to come back to them later, but how will you be able to find them? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7.
I think I finished one.
Hold on, let me see. I finished, this is half 2024, 2024, 2024, 2024, 2024, and 2023. Wait, no, this one was also 2023. So, 2024. I'm really proud of them. Oh no. Also, we should do a whole video on journaling, but these make
your
life easier.
So much easier. Start date and end date.
And I tried to put a heading on the top of the page that would be like, Gabriel seen
something.
This, or Indigo Book 3 seen this thing. So kind of help. And I'm supposed to go through and these, I don't know how to pronounce this, but the German brand that starts with an L has these that you can fill in and put. It's basically like a table of contents, and then I could actually find the scenes, but haven't done that yet because it's going to be really time consuming. So yeah, do that. Stay organized, guys. And
they all just fell.
I think that was all my notes. I think that was pretty much all my notes.
Yeah, so breakdown.
Sometimes just journaling is nice and helpful.
Or sketching. I'm an artist, so sketching out things, designing things just makes it so much better. And it also means that if you don't listen to music with words while you write, then you can listen to music with words while you do that.
Yeah. So yeah, those were our overall tips for
just sitting
actually
down and writing,
doing the doings. And you got this. Yeah. Sometimes it will be hard, but honestly, it's super duper fun and very, very rewarding.
And the more you do it, the more you'll want to do it. So
exactly,
sit down, write. It doesn't matter how many words it is. When I first started, I'd get like 500 words a day. Got to the point 2,000 words a day was normal.
Yeah.
Actually, the lower side of normal. So wherever you are, you can totally improve.
Yeah, for sure. So
thank you guys for coming.
Thank you guys for watching this video, and eventually we'll have a Discord up. If that's up when you're watching this video, go ahead and go over there and tell us what you thought about the video, your ideas, your goals, and how you're improving all the time.
We definitely want to hear.
Yeah, we'll be here to cheer you on.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. Bye.